Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in this video we will talk about how you can take tail log backups for damaged databases. So tail log backups are taken when your database goes into a damaged state where it's unrecoverable. So we take tail log backups during that time. But before we proceed ahead, I would request you guys to please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon and select all notifications to get all the notifications regarding my future videos. Now let's come back to the topic, which is tail log backups for damaged databases. Let's quickly go to notes. So let's discuss some key points. So this backup is taken when database is damaged. So that is clear. And for the database using full or bulk log recovery model, we need to back up the tail of the log before beginning to restore the database. So our database recovery model should be full or bulk logged if we want to take a tail of the log backup before we want to restore the database. So let me show you how do you check the recovery model. So go inside SQL Server Management Studio, right click on one of the database. In this case, I'm selecting Northwind, checking the properties. In the properties box on the left hand side, click options. This will give you the option what is the recovery model. So for this database, the recovery model is full recovery. And there's also one more option. While you're trying to back up the database, it also gives you an option what's the recovery model of that particular database. You can find that here as well. Now let's go back to notes quickly. Alright, so our database should be in full or bulk log recovery model if we want to take a tail log backup. Next point is a backup of the tail of the log of the primary database should also be taken before failing over to a log shipping configuration. So if we want to do a failover to a log shipping in a log shipping configuration, this type of backup should also be taken apart from the condition where the database is damaged. And restoring the tail log backup as a final log backup before recovering the database avoids work loss after the failure. Now let's discuss a little bit about the tail log backup. A tail log backup basically captures any log records from the transaction logs that have not yet been backed up during the transaction log backup process. So any records which are not backed up are backed up during the tail log backups, which is also known as the tail of the log, to prevent work loss and keep the log chain intact. Before you can recover SQL Server DB to its latest point in time, you must back up tail of the transaction log. So if we want to do a point in time recovery, in those cases we should always take a tail log backup. A tail log backup will be the last backup of interest in a recovery plan for the database. All the restore scenario do not require the tail log backups. So basically we need them in the condition where database is damaged. In those conditions it is required, or in the cases where we want to do point in time recovery, in those cases the tail log backup is required. And below are the points which is discussing the situations where the tail log backup is not required. So we do not need a tail log backup if the recovery point is contained in the earlier log backup. So during the earlier transaction log backup, if we know that the recovery point is in there, then yeah, we do not need the tail log backup. And it is also necessary if we do not need to restore water database to a point in time after its most recent backup. So yeah, we discussed about that. Only required in the condition where database is damaged, not required in the conditions where point in time recovery is not required. Now let's talk about the situations which demand the tail log backups. So for example, if a database is online and we want to perform a restore operation on the database, so we must begin by backing up the tail log backup. So now this is the condition where database is not damaged and we want to take a tail log backup. So basically let's discuss again. So our database is online in this scenario. Database is online and we want to perform a restore operation of some existing backup. So before doing that, we should always begin by backing up the tail of the log. And to avoid getting any error for the online database, we use the with no recovery option. during the backup. The second point is where the tail log backup is required. If the database is offline, now this is the offline case, and fails to start, which is a damage condition, and we need to restore the database. So first we need to back up the tail of the log, because no transactions can occur at this time. With the using the with no recovery is optional. So with no recovery optional is only used in cases where database is online. So if a database is already damaged, no transaction can take place against that database. So with no recovery option is optional in this scenario where database is damaged and we are backing up the tail of the log. Now third condition is if a database is damaged, we should try to take a full tail log backup by using the with continue after error option of the backup statement. Alright, and on a damaged database, backing up the tail of the log can succeed only if the log files are undamaged. So there may be a condition a database is damaged and the log files are also damaged. So if the log files are damaged, we will not be able to take the tail of the log backup. If they are undamaged, yeah, we can. The database is in a state that support tail log backup. So yeah, data should be in a condition that support tail log backups if we want to take tail log backups of the database. And the database does not contain any built log changes. Only in those scenarios we can take tail log backups. And if a tail log backup cannot be created, the transaction committed after the last log backups are lost. So let's discuss about two options that can be used with the backup command. First option is no recovery. So options during we can say tail log backup. So no recovery is one of the option. So we use this option when we intend to continue with the restore operation on the database. No recovery takes the database into restoring state. So if we use it switch, database goes into a restoring state. And this basically guarantees that database does not change after the tail log backup. The log will be truncated unless the no truncate option or copy only option is also specified. Alright, and there's also another parameter which can be used, continue after error. Use this option if backing up the tail of the damaged database. So this option should be used when the database is damaged. When we back up the tail of the log on a damaged database, some of the metadata ordinarily captured in the log backups might be unavailable. However, only the metadata is complete, the capture log is complete and usable. Now let me take you through a demo where you can where we'll perform certain tail log backup. Let's go to SQL Server Management Studio. So you need to go to Object Explorer, right click on the database, go to task and select the backup option. So in this case Northwind, its recovery model is full. So verified it's a full recovery model. Backup type should be transactional log backup we are taking. This option should be unchecked, copy only backup. Now there's a backup set area under backup options. So under the backup set, either accept the default backup set name suggested in name box, or you can enter a different name for the backup set. For now we are keeping it the same. You can also type the description of this backup set. We can set the expiry options. The max value is 99,999 days, or we can set it to expire on certain date. So whole backup set will get expired on this date, and our whole backup set will be expired after a certain number of days. Now backup destination options are there. So we are currently backing up to disk. We can also back up to Azure containers using the URL options. So for this demo we are just backing up to the disk. A tape option can also be there, but a tape device is not installed on this machine. By default a path is given where the backup is taken. So backup will be taken to this location. So let's go to that location to see if backup is already there. Let me open up Explorer. So let's quickly go to that location. So go to this PC, C drive, program files, Microsoft SQL Server, your instance, MySQL, and that backup folder is there. So here we do not have any Northwind database backup. So We are starting from scratch and there are no backups. So backup file that will be created under backup is northwind.backup. Backup type is transactional log backup. All right. So if we want some other destination or some other name, we can remove this path and add some other location to take the backup. We can also add multiple files to stripe the backup across multiple files, and that will provide some performance gains. And now there are certain options under the overwrite media section. So backup to an existing media set, backs up to an existing media set. So there are two options: to pen to an existing backup set. So it will use a single file and all the backups will get appended, whatever backups we are taking. So if we choose the option overwrite all existing backup set, it will remove all the existing backup sets and overwrite it with the new backup set. And there is another option, check media set name and backup set expiration. So these options are checked to verify the date and time at which the media set and the backup set expire. And we can also choose an option to create a new media set and erase all existing backup sets. So a name should be provided with along with the description over here. Now let's talk about reliability section where you can select options, verify your backup when it's finished, perform checks and before writing it to media, and if there are any errors during the checksum, you should continue on there or you can check that. And there's a section on transaction log. So right now the selection is to truncate the transaction log, which is equivalent to using the no recovery option. So in the transaction log section, if we check the backup the tail of the log, so default option is we are doing a normal transaction log backup is to truncate the transaction log after taking backup. If our database is damaged and we are taking the even if it's not damaged, if we are backing up the tail of the log, you need to select this option, and it puts the database in restoring state, which is equivalent to option of using the with no recovery switch using a backup statement. And so at restore time, if this option is selecting, the restore database dialog box displays the type of tail log backup as transaction log copy only restore. And if we are backing up to tape drive or tape drive installed, these options will get highlighted in the tape drive section. We are not using any tape drive, so these options are not highlighted for us. Let's see any other options we can check. So there is also backup compression options. Under the backup options, you can compress the backups. So if you want to compress the backup, you can select this option. And so encryption option is not available if we are backing to an existing media set. If we back up to a new media set, these options will get highlighted. So for now, we are doing a transaction log backup on this file, and this will be a tail of log backup. Let's try to take this backup. So we have taken the tail log backup successfully. Now you see the database has moved to restoring state, and we will not be able to see any databases inside it. And if we right click on it and we want to do a restore, what you can do, you can go to restore option, and we are restoring our transaction log here. So select transaction log, and we want to use a device which is file, and adding the file. We have taken the tail log backup in the Northwind backup database. Select that file. It is saying that the backup set name is Northwind full database backup. Northwind database is there, and it's a tail log backup basically, and it is giving us the option to most recent point possible. Alright, let's do a restore. Options are also there. So let's disregard these options for right now. Let's simply restore the database to see if we are able to restore the database from tail log backup. So database is logged. Alright guys, so we have shown you how you can restore the database. So Northwind is now restored. Let's see if we can refresh this database. It's refreshed. Now let's see. Yeah, all the tables are now in there. Alright, so the same thing can also be done using the transact SQL. Let me go ahead and delete the backup which we had taken. So I'm deleting the Northwind backup file, taking a backup from scratch. Just I'm using a transact SQL statement. So you can follow along with me. You can type the same statement. So the T-SQL syntax is you use backup, then you put the log. We are taking a backup of a log backup. We are taking, not the database backup. And you need to type the name of the database, which is Northwind, and to disk we are taking. You can specify the path. So path we are taking. You can take it from here, the backup path, and so your C drive can be removed, and the name of the file will be northwind.bak. All right, and this time we are using the with the no truncate option. So ideally, if this option is not specified when we do a uh, backup of the log, it basically truncates the log file after taking backup. So this clause basically allows the active part of the transaction log to be backed up even if the database is not accessible, provided that the transaction log is accessible and damaged. So we were talking about this option a few minutes back. So ideally, if we take a backup, the log will be truncated unless no truncate option is specified. So if we specify no truncate option, log will stay intact. The entries in the log stay intact and it will not get truncated. All right, let's do an execute on this. All right, so we have taken a backup. So this time it did not go into the restoring state. Why? Because the no with no recovery option is not specified while we take this backup. So this is how you take the backup of the currently active transaction log. So with no truncate option, take the backup of the transaction log. So this was not a tail log backup which we have just taken. So this is simply a transaction log backup with a no truncate option. So otherwise, if with no truncate option is if it is not specified, it will truncate the log after we take backup. So in this scenario, it has not taken a, it has not truncated a log, and it's just a copy only database backup. All right, and let me show you how you can take a. Let me delete this file because it's just a copy only transaction log backup. I have deleted it. Now let me show you how you can take the backup by specifying the option tail log backup basically. Now let's see. So first option is same and this point is also same. Alright, so these two statements are required, and to take a tail log backup you need to specify with no recovery option. So do this and your tail log backup will be taken and your database goes into a restoring state. So it is saying that it is okay. You need to specify some different database. Now let's try to take it. Alright, so database backup is taken, and if we refresh the database, it should be in the restoring mode. And the backup is taken here, which is a tail log backup. And let's try to restore this backup. Right click on it, go to task, go to restore option, and we are restoring a transaction log, which is a tail log backups. We are restoring it from a device. So device type of file, and we select the file to restore the tail log backup from point in time restore we are doing. Click OK. And now database is restored, and we can see the tables within it. So guys, yeah, we are fine here, and we are done this video with this video. If you really like this video, please hit on the like button and post your comments, how you what you feel about this video. And if you need some videos on other topics, please do post to me via the comments on this video. And please share this video with your friends, and please subscribe to my channel and hit on the bell icon to get all the notifications for any future videos. I thank you once again all of you for your time on this video.